morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to, as my duties as Assistant Governor, to introduce you to our District Governor, Erin Dunn. She's a member of the Fortuna Sunrise Rotary Club, and in her professional life, she is the CEO of the Fortuna Chamber of Commerce. She's a native Oregonian. She grew up on the coast. She attended school at the University of Oregon, where she was majored in communications. 1, 2, 3, are you ready? Go Ducks! Okay, but before moving to Fortuna, she lived in Washington, D.C. and New York City, and she was a theatrical press agent, and her first job was at the JFK Center for the Performing Arts. And shortly after moving back to the North Coast in 2003, Erin joined, or shortly after moving, she joined the Rotary Club Fortuna Sunrise, and a few years later, in 2010, she was named District Rotarian of the Year by then DG Kirk Brown. Exploring Rotary is her theme, and that has created many opportunities for Erin, one of them being an exchange student mom. And she's hosted many exchange students that she now refers to as her daughters. She did a rotoclass trip to India, and she visited many projects that we have down in Uganda. But not being kept busy enough by Rotary, you know how we have all this spare time when you're a Rotarian. She is also on the board of the McLean Foundation up there in her area, and also on the board of the Redwood Memorial Hospital Foundation in Fortuna. So folks, I'd like to have you stand and give a rousing welcome to District Governor Erin Dunn.
There you go, Annie. Thank you, Bob. And thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. My very own club is meeting right at this moment, so I'm used to a morning club and being up early and the special energy that comes from a morning club. I had a great visit with your board last night. So impressed with all the things that you do in your community, especially you really take care of your community of Sebastopol, as well as the international projects that you do and your youth projects. So my hat is off to you, and you're a very busy, determined club. But you have such a great history of leadership here in Sebastopol Sunrise. 2 past district governors sitting right there. You know, Jerry Meshulam has been on many rotoclass missions and was on the mission when I went to India, and he was a veteran there. And of course, all the other district, David Mark Raymond works on a district level, Barbara Barney, who isn't here, but because she's visiting Ecuador. But anyway, just such a rich history of Rotary, let's see, how to find this, Rotary leadership here. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about what our theme is this year, chosen by our RI President, Ravi Ravindran, Be a Gift to the World. And what he's really talking about is being a gift with our time and our talents and our abilities, and being a gift to the world, and this club does it better than anybody. You guys are truly a gift to your community and a gift to the world. I think you have a table to go hear him, our RI President, speak on January 3rd in the Bay Area in San Jose. We're so lucky to be able to have him as a sitting president come and speak to us in our area. So I congratulate you for going, and I'll see you down there for that. So, you know, one thing that we don't really so much join Rotary as we join a Rotary Club. And I love my Rotary Club, and I know the instant I walk in here that you love your Rotary Club. And the great thing about that is that Rotary has given us a new way to talk about how we love our Rotary Club. So for many of you, some of you had your anniversaries today, you remember that old elevator speech We're 1.2 million Rotarians in 33,000 clubs around the world, and we're working to eradicate polio. And all of those things are absolutely true. But they finally asked Rotarians, what is Rotary to you? And what they came up with is such a tremendous, successful way to talk about Rotary, and I just wanted to share that with you for a second. We are a group of leaders. We're a leadership organization in many ways, civic, business, professional leaders that gather. We form friendships, we exchange ideas, and we get stuff done in our community. And that is this great new way of talking about Rotary, which also, all those things are absolutely true. So we are talking about Rotary in that new way, and it helps us express it. I don't know about you, but I feel like I can express why I love my Rotary Club when I'm able to talk about Rotary in that way. Oh, wait a minute! Hey! Okay, sorry about that. Ross must have done that. Sorry about that. Where was I? Exploring Rotary. You know, the way to fall in love with Rotary all over again is to explore Rotary and what's out there. And this club, I know a lot of you have done a lot of extra things, but there's so much out there. And that's what makes Rotary unique compared to other service clubs in a lot of ways. And I wanted to tell you about my own exploration, because when I joined Rotary, I wanted to do great things in my community. So I thought that would be my exploration. I would help with all the things going on and help make my community better. So, you know, I'm not a mom. I don't have the skill set to be a mom, and in fact, kids scare me. So but we have a youth exchange program as well. And, you know, every year, at least once a year, I would go up to the exchange student and say, hi, you know, welcome to Fortuna, we're glad you're here. But, you know, there's always that language thing, and there's that kid thing, and so it wasn't my best thing, but I tried every year at least once to do that. So when I was president, I thought, you know, maybe one of the duties of president is to get to know the exchange student. So I tried. She was from Thailand. And, you know, in the beginning, there was that language thing, and there was that kid thing, but I persevered, and by the time she got to her second host family, who happened to be friends of mine, her English was getting better, and because they were friends, they invited me over for dinner, and I got to know her a little bit, and pretty soon I was volunteering to take her on to and from school things, and, you know, finally came time for the semi-formal. And she had a new dress. And, you know, what's more American than getting a new pair of shoes to go with that new dress? And I thought, that's something I can do. So I asked her if she'd like to get a new pair of shoes. And so I went over to her house and I knocked on the door. And she answered the door and said, hi, Aunt Erin. And for anybody, right, anybody who's not a kid person already, that just was this tremendous moment. It's like the clouds parted and the sun came down, and I was like, you know, maybe this is something I could do. So I signed up, you know, because all the other times, anytime the counselor stood, and you all know this speech, we need host families for this year, I'd start doing my grocery list, because they weren't talking to me. They were not talking to me. So I signed up, I had my first student, I kept her alive for 3 months, and I thought, you know, I can do this. So I've had 5 exchange kids, 2.5 as a single mom, and we couldn't do it, Ross and I couldn't do it this last couple of years, but we're signed up for the fall. And that is never in a million years, when I first joined Rotary, did I think that's what I would get out of Rotary, that that's how my life would be changed, but that's exactly what happened. And I encourage you to take advantage of all the things, even if it's something you don't necessarily think is right up your alley, but you might find out something. Another way to explore Rotary is to travel to international projects. And you have some happening in Ecuador. I know some of you have a rich history of traveling to your different international projects. This happens to be in Uganda, as Bob mentioned, had a chance to travel there. as my first chance overseas with Rotary, and had a chance to see where your foundation dollars go. You know, your foundation dollars provided a water collection tank. You know, it comes off the roof line when it rains and then goes into this water tank. And I got to see how you guys bought desks for schoolrooms that had no desks before. I'm not sure how they all do it, but you did that. And a medical building, and it's not really a building, it was more like a closet. I mean, it wasn't really a building, where they still weigh the kids on a scale that hangs from the ceiling, and you helped upgrade that. So thank you for that. It was such an honor to do that Paul Harris Fellow this morning with Al, and and to see that what a club that you do are so dedicated to the Rotary Foundation. Another part of the program of the Rotary Foundation is eradicating polio plus. And this has been a huge year for that. And I know that you have already heard. Nigeria went a year without polio. I think they announced that in August. In September, it was announced that it was what's that word? No, the endemic. It was no longer an endemic country. But it hasn't been declared polio-free yet, because that takes another year or so, because they want to be sure there hasn't been a case out in the rural hinterlands that hasn't been reported, or maybe it just hasn't manifested itself. But everybody's very confident that polio will be announced as eradicated very shortly in Nigeria, which means that the entire continent of Africa will be declared polio-free. Down to 2 countries, 55, yeah, no kidding. We're really lucky to have with us Bob Rogers, who is on the polio committee here in the district. And he's doing a big bike ride down in Tucson this weekend. And he's still taking donations for that. And he'll be available after the meeting if you want to go up and talk to him. Such a dedicated, it's 66 miles or something? 104. Oh, or 104, give or take. Anything over 10 is the same to me. So that's really wonderful, Bob, and thank you for doing that. What I love when Bob gives his presentation is the line about Bill Gates, because for those of you, anybody here that was here in 1985 when we started this, yeah, Bruce, Helene. No, not 1925, 1985. Anybody here in 1985? Okay. You know, we've been doing this a long time, and we're down to the last 2 countries, and we're down to the last, little bit. And gosh, it's a really long time to be at it. And somebody was asking Bill Gates about, aren't you sick of this yet? You've been doing this for a while. These are people who are not Rotarians. Aren't you tired of doing that? And I just love this quote that Bob uses about Bill Gates, and that's, we don't let children die because it's fatiguing to save them. And anytime I start to get tired of the whole polio thing, like, can't we go on to the next? Aren't we done with this yet? I remember that line, and I think, no, we can't. We can't be fatigued yet. We can't let children die because it's fatiguing to save them. So, and also, as you know, just because you've been to the foundation dinners, this district was number 1 per capita and number 2 overall in our zone for raising money for polio. So give yourself a hand for that. That were happening in the district. As you can tell, I just love the Pandora thing this morning. I thought that was really great. A couple things that are happening in the district. One is we are sponsoring a Rotoclass mission to Bangladesh in February. We're using partial district grant funding. We're using donations from club members and clubs, and also a corporate sponsor. And the idea behind that was, after going to India in November, I thought, and I've been trying to think of a way to get Rotaract involved in Rotary in a meaningful way and providing that opportunity. So we are sending 3 Rotaractors on this trip. We interviewed 14 candidates for the 3 slots, and it's a medical and non-medical volunteer team, and there's 9 non-medical volunteers. So a third of the volunteers will be Rotaractors. They were all phenomenal. Any of them could have been chosen to go on this trip, but we have 3. One from Sonoma State that's down here, and we're just thrilled to be able to provide that. Because as you know, Rotaractors, they've got energy, they've got talent, they've got the wherewithal, what they don't always have is funding. So we're paying for their airfare and their visas, and we didn't really tell them until afterwards their shots. And it's really Bangladesh. So we should really be proud of the Rotaract program that we have going on in this district. Also, the Rotary Friendship Exchange is coming up again. We're sending a team to India at the end of December. Bob is going. Anybody else going? Jerry, you're going without me? Okay, so so we have that chance, and it's a new program, so I think we're getting the word out more and more that anybody can go. You don't have to be a president, you don't have to be a district type, you don't have, being a Rotarian and going and experiencing another culture in another district with other Rotarians, it's a great way to go. So I'm waiting for the Scotland trip, because I'd really like to go there.
Oppa Gangnam Style.
So another way to explore Rotary is to go to an international convention. I know when I'm going to ask this question, the hands are going to go up. How many of you have been to an international convention? A lot of you, but some of you haven't. And this is one of those really great opportunities unique to Rotary, to have a chance to go to another country with Rotary on the other end to help make things smoother. And you'll have lunch with someone from Nigeria in the afternoon. You might have dinner with someone from Australia in the evening, and then you sit next to somebody from Denmark at the next program. It's incredible. It's something that I hope you all have a chance to do at some time. And that we're going to South Korea, we're going to Seoul. I'll be there. Bob will be there. So we'd love to. Anybody else that's signed up? You're going? Fantastic! Yay! We're glad that you're going. Are you guys going? No. So anyway, we'll see you there, if not before. So thank you for that. But keep that in mind. Next year it's in Atlanta. Maybe that's the time that you go and explore Rotary on a bigger, expansive level. Does anybody know what that song is? Who said that? Oh my gosh. Yes. That era, they all kind of sound alike. So when I find someone who knows it's that girl, I'm very impressed. Bob's handing out these flyers that I meant to have on your table earlier about our district conference, which is going to be in Napa in May 6th through 8th. And that girl was really kind of my theme this last year, and because she was the first independent working woman on television. I'm sorry, single. What did I say? No, single working woman on television. Mary Tyler Moore was the first independent single woman working on television, but I just like that theme song better. So we're taking the Explore theme and making it about television. So it's the Explore channel. And I want to tell you about 2 things. We have lots of things happening and lots of surprises, but I can tell you about 2 things. One is our speaker on Saturday afternoon is Marilyn Fitzgerald, and she wrote a book called If I Had a Water Buffalo. And has anybody heard her speak? She speaks on occasion at PETS, right? Isn't she fantastic? Yeah, so she's this person, she's a Rotarian, and she's led a group study exchange back when we had that to the Philippines. And when she was there, she saw this incredible poverty, just everywhere she looked, and she knew immediately she wanted to return with Rotary and make a difference in the education of the people in the outlying villages. So she started gathering all her information and went out there to do her due diligence, talking to the people there. We're going to build this school, we're going to provide scholarships, we're going to have all the latest things for you. And he said, you know what, that's really great, but what we really need is a water buffalo. Then we can do all of that ourselves. No, you don't understand. We are going to come in and we're going to make this happen for you. And we're going to build this school. And he said, you know, that's really wonderful, but what we really need is a water buffalo. And it's really her story of coming to terms of going from what she thought everybody needed to what the community really needed, and how they could then do for themselves if they had this water buffalo. She's an incredible speaker, and I hope that you have a chance to come over and hear her on Saturday afternoon. But we have a speaker on Friday night that is near and dear to my heart. It fits with the television theme, and it fits with vocation, because, you know, vocation is making a comeback in Rotary. It never really left, but we want you to talk about your vocation. We want the new members to feel like they can talk about their vocation. We want you to know what everybody else in your club does for a living. If you're retired, you can help mentor the new young professionals coming in. So the speaker on Friday night, she's a television producer. She and her husband have a television production company called 44 Blue Productions, and they create television programming for different networks. So for instance, they do Wahlburgers, which is about Donnie Wahlberg and his family restaurant in Boston. Maybe you've seen that. And then for Animal Planet, they have pit bulls and parolees. Have you heard? I know you at least. Thank you. In the back. And then for A&E, they do a program called Night Watch, which is about the evening EMTs. But they have a lot of other shows too, if you go on their website, 44 Blue Productions. So her talk is really twofold. One is this vocation piece, and she's had an incredible career, and she actually was also in creative development for Disney Buena Vista. And the second thing she's going to talk about is mentoring. And mentoring is a big piece of what we do. And in fact, we have a new award, 3 new awards this year for mentoring. One for mentoring students, one for mentoring young professionals, or professionals, don't have to be young, but mentoring professionals. And one is for mentoring, who? Rotarians, that's correct, club members. That's correct. Thank you, Bruce. I knew you were going to come through for me. So yes, for mentoring members. So she's going to talk about mentoring. And I know that she is a tremendous mentor because she was my mentor in 1980 at the university, when I was going to the University of Oregon. She was working at Channel 2 in Portland at a show called AM Northwest. It's a 1-hour live, I see some nods, 1-hour live program that follows Good Morning America. And she had created this internship for herself when she was going to school and was keeping it going. And I applied for it, and she was the person in charge of it. And she made sure that I had every opportunity that I could as a regular staff member, not just an intern, to do things with the show. And you know, you knew the minute you met her that she was incredibly special. Talented, creative, kind, funny. You know, she was amazing. And you know, she was only, I always end up saying she was only 2 years older than me at the time, but she's still only 2 years older than me, which made it even more, you know, you just knew that this woman was incredible. So I tracked her down, and she's going to come speak at the conference. And what it reminds me of is that don't think for 1 second that the time you're spending with a young person, a professional, a fellow member, a student, whatever it is, that it doesn't mean something, because it does. In 35 years, believe it or not, 35 years, somebody may call you that you're working with today to say, you made a difference in my life, come speak at a conference. But you just never know, and it might not show up right at that moment. So mentoring is just such an important piece of what we do as Rotarians, and we're going to highlight that on Friday night. Okay, this is a tough one. Does anybody know what that song is?
Stairway to
You know, I'm always surprised. Not even back there, not a yes.
Freebird.
Jim?
Stormy.
No, oh yeah, no. It's Star Search. Ed McMahon? Does anybody remember that?
I was close.
Yeah, so it gives me great pleasure to make this award. It's a Shining Star Award. We also call it a Rising Star Award. To someone in your club today. So I asked your president to select someone, and I made it really tough because I said there's no criteria. It's whatever you think, and believe me, that makes it so much harder. But actually, this person is being recognized for being a rising star. So this person joined your club in 2014. That was last. I was going to say last year, and that is. And got involved in creating social opportunities for members besides First Friday or weekly meetings. They took on leadership for the holiday dinner on Christmas Day. They help with fundraisers and have a great whistle that livens up our meetings, although I didn't hear that. When I asked a past president who might be recognized, this person's name was the first one mentioned, and Michael seized on it right away because he agreed. So Paula Page.
Yay.
And it's not just because she does that well. It really was earned. Well, as I finish up today, I just want to say thank you so much for your hospitality. I love visiting this club. I'll be back. But I really appreciate your friendship and your dedication to Rotary and all of the above. So thank you so much. Do you know what that one is? Yes. Thanks.
My parents told me about that.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
We have our lovely Shine and Michael speaking.
Wow, it's an electrical item.
It is. And we also have a thought for you, which is to help us with our door prize. And everything we charge, if somebody clean up.
Bob, will you read mine? Just in case.
Right. Read the last one.
Okay. 1, 1, 2.
All right. Shuffle everyone.
Okay, if not, we have a place for it. We're gonna have,
Here's
we have a lot of families, we have a mixed family. One is a 16-year-old, 17-year-old man. So, but
Did
you
you win last week?
know, see, semi-traditional. We have a little-
You got the cross everybody, but you didn't have a chance
Five, we
to
start
walk.
getting.
Made it a little easier for you, Dan.
I'll go back and yell at him. And you get
Okay, and the word prize is thanks to Joe Gazowitz. Next week, we are dark, so come show up here next Wednesday. There is a joke of the day that was intended for somebody who's not here to deliver, so I'm showing you. Ah, you got one. I defer to you, because this one's
The microphone guys can't sit at the same table.
So this is dedicated to Mark Olson and to Al Lustig, because it's kind of a camel joke. So Phyllis and Sylvia, each 88 years old, are in this home. They go outside to have a smoke. And while they're there, it begins to rain just a little bit. So Sylvia pulls out a condom, cuts the end off of it, puts it over a cigarette. And Phyllis says, "That's wonderful. Where do you get those?" He says, "At the drugstore, they have a lot of them." So she goes to the drugstore. She tells the druggist, "I need some condoms." Well, he's first quite shocked because she looks like she doesn't really need those anymore. But he says, "Okay, so there's a lot of different colors, textures, sizes. What do you want?" He says, "Well, that doesn't matter so much as long as it fits a camel." And he fainted.
That's our meeting for today.
To you.